This tutorial is about how to copy and place objects quickly and easily. For example, this build, or more precisely, this barn. If we click on the building with the left mouse button, it is selected. It might be that an object is made up of several sub-objects, which are broken down into a hierarchy. So, if we look at this building in the scene graph, we can see this little plus icon, which we can click to expand the underlying hierarchy. We can see that the sub-objects, straw heaps, straw barn decal 1, add-ons, straw barn interior, a transform group lighting, and 2 triggers, bale destroyer trigger and window trigger, are attached to the straw barn. So it is extremely important that we select the parent object, that is, the object listed highest in the hierarchy in the scene graph before working with it. Otherwise, only other objects, such as the straw heaps, might be moved. So let's select the parent object, straw barn, and make a duplicate of it by pressing Ctrl D. In doing so, the building and all its sub-objects will be duplicated and inserted as the lowest object in the active hierarchy. If we move it, we see that the original remains in place and our duplicate is now located beside it. If we scroll up a bit in the scene graph, we can see that we are in a transform group named Player Farm. If we select this group, we can see that all the objects on the farm have been combined in this transform group. It makes sense to create such groups when designing some maps in order to retain a better overview. So let's create a transform group via Create Transform Group. This now appears at the very bottom of the scene graph and is simply called Transform. Let's select the group and give it a new name here in the attributes, for example, Straw Barns. Now we want to collect a few objects together in this transform group, so let's select the 2 buildings one after the other while holding down the Control key and cut them by pressing Ctrl X. Then let's select the Straw Barns group and add the buildings to it by pressing Ctrl V. Now let's take a look at another function of the Giants editor. There's a very useful shortcut for placing objects. First, we select the object that we want to place and then press Ctrl B. Now, while we keep the left mouse button held down, the object will follow the cursor and orient itself to the terrain. It is very easy to place objects on the map this way. We'd like to have a few more flowers, but making a duplicate every time and then placing it is rather exhausting, so here's another hint. When we have selected an object, press Ctrl B and now keep the left mouse button held down so you can place the object multiple times. On the one hand, this can be done by pressing the Shift key, which offsets the object with the same rotation values from the current position. On the other hand, we can press the Control key, which rotates the object by a random value around its own y-axis. With the help of these 2 functions, we can quickly distribute trees across the map, for example. When we have finished editing our mod map, we can save our work and then load it in Farming Simulator.